I'm going to be reading some stories that I consider teaching stories. And these were from women in Ireland who I sent out a questionnaire, or I sent out a question through many, many ways. And the question was, do you have a story to tell about a connection with an animal that left a lasting impression? And I got altogether 17 women to tell. Actually, I got more than 17, but I had to finally limit it to 17. And so some of the stories they told I want to share with you today. And I'm thinking of it as somewhat of a, perhaps a symphony of metaphors, or a collage of metaphors, and save questions and discussion until the end. And get yourselves comfortable and happy in a good place, and ready for listening. The only thing I don't really have is the Irish brogue, which is a big loss, but maybe you can imagine that as I read. And I'd like to start with a poem from Rumi, which is called Love Dogs. One night a man was crying, Allah, Allah. His lips grew sweet with the praising, until a cynic said, so, I have heard you calling out, but have you ever gotten any response? And the man had no answer to that. He quit praying and fell into a confused sleep. He dreamed he saw Kadir, the guide of souls, in a thick green foliage. Why did you stop praising? Because I've never heard anything back. This longing you express is the return message. The grief you cry out from draws you toward union. Your pure sadness that wants help is the secret cup. Listen to the moan of a dog for its master. That whining is the connection. There are love dogs no one knows the names of. Give your life to be one of them. And I had a love dog named Osen, and he was the one that got me started on this journey to learn more about what is it about the human-animal connection. The Yellow Man. My mother left Buick when I was 2.5, and I had no men around me. She adopted a boy and a girl in Cary because their mother and father caught TB, and he was very shy and countryish. The boy, who only recently died, was a gentle, lovely person who said he'd like to be a chicken under a mother hen. He wasn't a father figure by any means, and so I had no men. My mother used to say, men are the cause of wars and are treacherous in many ways. I sort of felt that about men. Not long ago, I met a German analyst at a party who I understood was the proprietor of tea rooms. And I went around to her and I said, I've come to talk to you and have a cup of tea. And she said, oh, come on into my consulting room. I thought this was weird, but I sat down and she said, close your eyes. Tell me about your mother and father. And I said, well, my mother was a wonderful woman. My father really didn't exist for me. He didn't exist for you? No, absolutely blankety blank. She said, I want you to concentrate on that. Try and find your father in your body somewhere. So I thought, well, this is not going to kill me. I'll try and give in. Quickly, a very strong vision here on my right side came into my body of a very solid, gray man with a well-built torso here. The leg dwindled, and the arm dwindled, and the head sort of dwindled here. But he was a navy blue, dark gray man. And this side, indicating the left, was all sunshine and happiness. I said, yes, I do see. And she said, draw it out. And I did a quick drawing. And she said, this is not because you're an artist. So she pinned it on the wall and said, is he still dead when you look at it on the outside? I said, yes, he's still dead to me. And she said, let's turn it on its side. So she turned my drawing on its side, and the gray man that I had drawn became an animal. And I said, there's a monster there. The arm that had dwindled became a snout, and the rest of the body became the body of the animal. It had a little eye where I had left a bit of chalk out, you see. And I said, yes, I see a live animal. She said, it's a living animal? Yes, that's alive. Go home, she said. Don't say another word, and draw out or write out or express somehow in any way you feel about that live animal. Don't go back to the dead one. So I went home and I drew a whole book full of gray men carrying cots behind them, loaded with gray men in rain and war and blood. I did everything that was associated with this gray man. And I went back to the analyst for 5 seasons. She thought I needed more. For 5 sessions. I only went for a cup of tea. I thought I was the most well-adjusted woman, and it cost me 70 pounds a session. She said that bottom line, I blamed all things, all bad things, war and everything on men, and that's why I couldn't read the newspaper or look at television. And the reason I blame men is because my father abandoned me. As an adult, I could no longer remember him, but the hurt was there. My father abandoned me when I was a little baby. After my mother ran away to Ireland with my sister and me to live, the following year she returned to England to bury her alcoholic husband. All this must have sunk in somewhere in me, and discovering it made me a happier woman. Well, I hadn't been unhappy, but now I can look at news. I can tackle the world's problems in my own mind instead of feeling sick about it. I can now see viciousness through animals, like in the David Attenborough films. I see women making their sons warlike. I no longer blame only men. I blame women too. Because I had no idea that the gray man was within me. I would have gone to my grave not knowing about him, and he was very real. I started to sketch out my gray man, who I at first didn't understand, for he was part man, part animal. I went into it with a heart and a half. He became my perfect society, my perfect man, which I had not found in my recent travels to the South Seas. He was the yellow side. Out poured my very happy person in the yellow man.